26, 2026 meeting of the Oshkosh Common Council. City Clerk, if you could please take the roll.
Buelow.
I am here.
Stevenson.
Here.
LaFever.
Here.
Esslinger.
Here.
Spanbauer.
Here.
Amos.
Here.
Mugrauer.
Here. Invocation tonight will be led by Deputy Mayor Buelow.
We ask for guidance tonight as we begin this meeting. May all those who participate in our discussions and our decisions reflect the values that we cherish in this great city.
We are blessed to have two students from Val Phillips Middle School here with us tonight to lead us in the pledge. If you guys wouldn't mind meeting me down front, and if everybody could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As I mentioned, we have some students from Val Phillips. We have JC and we have Martell here this evening with us. If you wouldn't mind, JC, Martell, if you wouldn't mind, maybe if you got a favorite teacher, favorite subject there at Val Phillips that you wanted to let us know about.
My favorite class at Val Phillips is choir by Dr. Lynn.
My favorite class is also choir with the teacher of Dr. Wynn.
Awesome.
This is where I start typing, so I'm not in there voting.
Thank you for being here tonight. All right. We did issue one proclamation in advance declaring June 2026 as Pride Month here in the city of Oshkosh. We have, when are we doing the, oh, never mind. Okay. Public statements to council. I don't have anyone registered for public statements. If there's anyone who wants to speak to us about something not on the agenda, now would be a good time. Otherwise, we're going to move right along. Consent agenda.
Mayor,
Yes.
there was a gentleman with his hand up.
Sir, I wanted to ask if the 101 Commerce Street acquisition is on the agenda.
Yep.
Yes.
That's on the agenda later later in the night. Did you want to speak on that?
I can speak later on.
Yep, you would, yeah, but you do want to speak on it later. Okay. Sounds good. Your first name, just so I have it?
Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Okay. We'll move on to consent agenda. I don't have anyone registered to speak on anything consent related. I'll take a motion and a second for consent.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on anything consent related? Mr. Stevenson.
Just a couple items to talk about. So item number 3, we are looking at supporting the state's effort to modernize the Uniform Dwelling Code. I am in complete support of this. The Uniform Dwelling Code is what we use for building code throughout the state of Wisconsin. It's woefully underperforming right now in my estimation. It's used for single-family and two-family dwellings. It's one of our biggest barriers when we're trying to get new housing in the city. So as the state moves through this process of updating that code, this resolution is advocating for them to do that with thought and to make sure they're including local voices and industry professionals in that discussion. I really hope that the state takes this opportunity to embrace this change, to really look through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that they're making housing easier to build and not increase in regulation. So that's number 3. And then number 10, I just wanted to call out real quickly. We are selling a lot in the Southwest Industrial Park for about $70,000, getting a warehouse down there. The warehouse isn't the cool part. The cool part is what they sell. They are associated with adventure games, and if you know anything about them, they're a very cool business in town. Really happy to see this arm of their business expand. I believe they work with kind of selling their games and miniatures and paintings and things like that. So I think this is just a cool one to show that Oshkosh has some growing industries here. So
And what's the name of that company that's coming there?
I don't think I'll say it.
It's not an inside joke either.
It's called, you want to say it? It's, was it Kick-Ass?
Yeah.
Kick-ass mail order.
Yes. Don't kick me out, Mayor.
You're all good. Councilmember LaFever.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to call out consent agenda, I'm just going to restart. I want to call out item number 4 regarding the GO Transit technology updates. Earlier this year, council approved automatic audio stop announcements on the bus, and tonight's change order will add LED interior signage so riders can also visually see the upcoming stops. So basically, when this is installed, an automated voice will read out when a stop is approaching, and it will also display that stop on the sign. And I think that this is a great accessibility improvement for hearing impaired riders, but honestly, it just makes the system easier for any riders, like if you're wearing headphones or you're just anxious about missing your stop. So there's been a lot of good community conversation in the last week about improvements to the bus service. So I just wanted to highlight an upgrade that is already moving forward tonight. And I wanted to note that this is being funded through a federal transit grant, which is great. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Since we didn't talk about these two yet, 30 and 31, reappointing and appointing people to the boards and commissions, very important here in the city, and I wanted to save Mayor from having to talk about how wonderful it is that we've had so many people submit and want to serve in that capacity, to be able to serve on those advisory boards, to be able to help impact our decision-making up here, but it impacts the entire city, and it's a great way to get involved.
Thank you for the plug. I am going to pull 26-259. This is agenda item number 29. 26-259. We're going to have a separate discussion on that one. If there's no other comments or questions, City Clerk, when you're ready, if you'll take the roll on consent minus 26-259.
Buelow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
Aye.
7-0.
26-259, approve Class B beer liquor license agent change for a Crossroads Chance 800 Oregon Street, and the agent would be Donna Rich.
So moved.
Second.
Reason for me to pull and just have I just had a question or two, and obviously we had a lengthy discussion on this establishment a couple meetings back. The application in front of us is for an agent change. Normally this is very pro forma, and we don't get involved in that. Staff does their thing. Multiple layers of staff actually do their thing in terms of police department, clerk's office, lots of different Oshkosh city staff get involved and do their part. But one of the questions on the agent change form is on page, I think it's 3, it's question 6. Is the applicant business indebted to any wholesaler beyond 15 days for beer or 30 days for liquor and wine? They indicated no. Part of our discussion 45 days ago was centered around their indebtedness to wholesalers in terms of alcohol sales. I don't believe it's the municipality's current process, and I don't know if other municipalities do it differently, if they check that or if we check that or not against the actual wholesalers. Do we do that or no?
We do not.
So we take their attestation as truth and fact?
If we are notified by a wholesaler, then that stays in their file. We would keep that. But we have not checked since the hearing. Not for a change of agent.
Okay. Okay.
Upon renewal, that would be checked.
Again, most of the times this is pro forma, and we just apply a yes to this and allow it to proceed. I'm not inclined to do that myself this evening. I'll be voting no because I don't have confirmation that this applicant has taken care of that part of their the requirements that we have for them. I don't know how else council feels, but currently at the moment I'll vote no. There's an option to lay this over until the next regularly scheduled meeting to allow the applicant to prove to us that that has been satisfied, but I'll leave that up to the rest of council. Deputy Mayor.
I definitely understand where you're going here and pulling on that string, but just wanting to make sure I understand on, we have the memo in our packet. This license is still suspended whether or not we authorize this change or not. And so to get it unsuspended, they will have to go through the renewal process regardless, or how does, it just,
It is only suspended through the end of this month, if my dates are correct?
Correct.
So
The
June
sus-
1st.
Correct. The suspension will automatically terminate. The council did a 60-day suspension, so that's 60 days and then done. There may still be problems that we need to look into and address, but that will not be impacted by the suspension.
so I'll let Joe go, but I'd be in favor of the laying it over then to get more information on that question and that attestation.
Yeah, and I was just going to, if we lay it over, is it June 16 that is our next meeting?
Yes.
And that would still be within the 60-day window? So I mean, it's not like they couldn't open today if they wanted to.
No, that would be out of the 60-day window.
Oh, it would be out? Is my
Yep,
math
it
bad there?
expires at the end of this month, the end of May 31st.
Oh, okay. The suspension expires at the end of this month? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm well aware that my suggestion of either voting no or laying it over has a negative impact on this business, but the business owner has proving woefully insufficient his ability to meet basic requirements for an alcohol license in this community.
Okay.
So, Mr. Spanbauer.
There is still going to be, the suspension ends essentially effective June 1st, but then they will renew again. And can you remind me of the renewal timeframe?
Yep, the current license period ends June 30th, 2026.
So there's a 1-month period
There is.
essentially where they could operate as normal.
Correct.
And then they will need to be already starting the renewal process to start again.
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Stramus.
So if we do lay it over, will they be able to like operate starting June 1st if we lay it over?
The suspension will no longer be in effect. You need an agent, among other things, to operate a business.
So if they don't have like the agent in place June 1st, then they wouldn't be able to operate.
They would have, their license would no longer be suspended. What he does is up to him, but under the law, you should not operate without an agent.
Okay.
So they could not legally operate? What
Yes.
he does, yeah.
They can't legally operate.
There would be grounds to bring further action to council if he is operating without an agent.
Okay.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to move to lay it over to the next regularly scheduled council meeting, scheduled for June the 16th. See if I get a second or not.
Second.
Discussion on laying this over till June the 16th in an effort to give the applicant time to confirm they are in compliance with the indebtedness to any wholesalers. I see no questions on that. City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on laying this over until June the 16th, our next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
No.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
Aye.
6-1 carries.
That wraps up consent. We have new ordinance. Ordinance 26-29, approve comprehensive land use plan map amendment from mixed use to industrial for properties located at 2236 Clairville Road and parcel 0120-08-603 in the town of Kaimai, commonly referred to as Quality Paint and Coatings. Plan Commission recommends approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I see none. Please take the roll.
Bulow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
Aye.
7-0.
New resolution 26-257, approve agreement amendment with Greater Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods Incorporated and a related budget amendment in the amount of $71,200. I think we have Miss Last from GoHNI here. Good evening, welcome.
Do I need to adjust this?
Probably want to get, yeah, closer to you.
Can you hear me now?
Get in nice and close, let's.
Yeah.
There we
How
go.
about now?
There we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. For those, I think you all know me. Liz Last, Executive Director of Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods, also known as GoHNI, Greater Oshkosh Healthy Neighborhoods Incorporated. Our organization exists to further the city's overall goal of One Oshkosh to promote neighborhood association development, social connection through neighborhood events, enhanced communication between residents and city planning, and property development and enhancement. Neighborhood associations, unlike homeowners associations, are free to residents, completely voluntary, and create a sense of community. It's an organization of residents working together to improve and maintain the quality of life in its neighborhood. Through our organization's history of the last 10 years, we've developed and supported 26 neighborhood associations. This is the most recent map that was created with the City Planning Department, with the exception of Sunset West, which was actually recognized last year, which is near Green Acres and Fox Chase. You will actually hear from, or actually vote on recognition for 2 additional neighborhood associations tonight. We support neighborhood associations in a variety of ways. One of the most important ways that we support neighborhoods is through community building and engagement funds. In 2025, we issued just over $9,000 in those funds throughout 12 of the 26 neighborhood associations. You can see the breakdown here. These are our most active neighborhood associations that are using these funds to create community building opportunities for neighbors to connect, get to know each other, work on green spaces, work on neighborhood parks, have block parties, annual meetings, and engage in a variety of activities that help them get to know each other. One of our pride points with our organization is our Good Neighbor Grant program. Good Neighbor Grants are available to residents of recognized neighborhood associations, and the grants fund up to $750 in a reimbursement after the grantee pays the initial $250 toward a project, to be used for projects clearly visible from the street. So we call these curb appeal grants because it needs to benefit the entire neighborhood. All residents of city-recognized neighborhood associations are eligible to apply. Projects can be completed by a contractor or the homeowner, and relevant city permits must be secured if required, so we do confer with city planning on anything that's questionable. And before and after photos plus receipts are required for reimbursement. We just opened our Good Neighbor Grant cycle for this year, and I think in one of my slides it lists maybe 64 Good Neighbor Grants, and that was early last week. We closed the application cycle on May 20th, and we ended at 75 applications. One difference from prior years is we typically would keep the application period open for 60 days. This year we only kept it open for 30, not knowing what level of funding we would have for the year. And we actually received more interest in less time this year than we have in previous years. So again, we ended at 75 applications. And in the history of the program, it started in 2020, and through 2025, we've distributed 228 grants, providing over $146,000 in funds to property owners, supporting over $700,000 in overall property investment. Because we don't reimburse for the full amount of the project, the difference of the 146 and 709 is pretty significant when you think of homeowners just needing a little bit of an incentive to have a little bit of reimbursement for a larger project. To recap the 2025 Good Neighbor Grants, we awarded 42 applications or properties, and out of those 42 awards, 38 properties were completed. The only difference between the 42 and the 38 were mostly contractors that weren't able to carry out the initial contract that they signed with homeowners, or a homeowner may have changed their mind and decided to postpone the project for one reason or another. So out of those 38 properties or projects that were completed, we issued just under $28,000 with a total investment of over $171,000 in property improvement. The largest project that received a $750 grant reimbursement was just under $32,000, whole house siding and windows. And the smallest project was $540 to repaint porch railings. I have some photos of examples of things that will have a big impact on curb appeal. So repouring concrete on the approach to a house. This is an example of a before and after of whole house siding and windows, with the exception of the brick on the front of the house. And this is a refresh of a front porch, just replacing lattice, repainting, putting in some new railings. Over the history of the program from 2020 to 2025, you can see that the interest is pretty consistent, but we had to deny more applications than we actually approved last year. So we sought additional grant opportunities. We did receive an additional $5,000 from the Theta Tamlin Clark Smith Foundation to approve more than what we had originally budgeted through ARPA dollars. So I'll talk a little bit about the city funding that's available through the ARPA dollars that we received for 2025. In 2026, we received $50,000 in ARPA funds from the city. That actually covered 30 Good Neighbor grants, so $22,500. The remaining $50,000 was spent toward community building and engagement, meetings and events, printing and postage for neighborhood mailings and neighborhood support, and less than 7% is toward admin costs. Our annual expenses continue to rise as we provide more services and support more neighborhood associations. On every level, the costs are increasing. And our budget for 2026 is just over $389,000. You can see in the red that the ARPA funds are less than 13% of our overall budget. We have been working very hard to increase fundraising opportunities through fundraising events and applying for additional grants. Just under 50% of our budget right now is through foundation grants and other support. We have recently invested in some rental property, and we are expecting just under 10% of our income this year to come from that rental income, and we are also developing additional rental property later this year. The history of financial support from the city of Oshkosh started just under $150,000. This was TIF money, and in 2020, we received an additional $20,000 to kickstart the Good Neighbor Grant Program. I don't have numbers for 2023, but that's not to say that we didn't receive any funding. But since 2024, we've only been receiving $50,000 in ARPA funds with no additional funding from the city. So today, I would like to request $71,200, and the breakdown would be for 30 additional Good Neighbor grants, CB&E, or Community Building and Engagement Funds, for 4 new neighborhood associations. You'll hear from 2 tonight on the north side of Oshkosh, and we are actually working on 2 additional, so that's why we're factoring 4 for this year. Those 4 neighborhood associations do come at an additional cost for printing and postage. We do neighborhood mailings to catch attention of basically everybody in the neighborhood so that everyone has an opportunity to get involved if they so choose. And then for property development and admin and personnel expenses, those are just standard operating costs that we incur providing the services that we do provide. I've recently been talking with community development about code enforcement grants, and that's something that we would really like to institute as early as this year, if possible. If the city planning department or community development is hearing from residents throughout the city that they're having trouble rectifying a situation that's a code violation, and that's something that we can intervene and help someone with, up to $5,000. We are looking at providing assistance for up to 5 homeowners this year, and if it goes well, we could continue that in future years. The target that we have for Good Neighbor Grant approvals is 60 this year. Like I said, we ended at 75. It says 64 here, but we've received a few since last week. And I would like to approve more than we've ever approved in the past and go beyond the 30 that we initially have ARPA funds for. Code enforcement grants, like I mentioned, could be up to $5,000 funded through support from the city, and possibly additional community donors to improve housing safety, further property decline, and stabilize neighborhoods. This image is actually from the village of Ashwaubenon, and it's something that I would like to mirror in Oshkosh. Just some examples of code violations that we could potentially intervene and help improve the overall neighborhood. These are some additional examples. These were actually Good Neighbor grants that could be code violations. So just unsafe front porches, overgrown lawns, things like that, that we could help out with homeowners that have no means to pay for these things on their own. And I mentioned earlier that we are investing in additional property and developing rental property. We just broke ground on Merritt Avenue, and we will be providing 2 additional rental units in the city that will be income-based by the end of this year. And I just welcome any questions if you have questions about our proposal.
Council? Actually, yes. Good call on that.
So moved.
Can we get a motion?
Second.
Hold on. What is it again? 26-257, I get a motion and a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
There we go. Go ahead, Mr. Stevenson.
I think the code enforcement thing is super interesting. I like that. I know we've taken a little bit of a step of trying to make sure that code enforcement is more of a, like, working together with the property owner and getting compliance rather than being punitive. I think this could be a really good carrot in that aspect of trying, again, to have that philosophy of working with the resident, not being punitive, and giving them a resource to help fix their property. So I really like that aspect of it. I also just wanted to, I think Goich and I does a great job. Neighborhoods are one of the very cool things we do in Oshkosh. We have a pretty good reputation around the state for having very strong neighborhood associations. I know a lot of communities will ask us about that, but what's the name of the grant that you give that's $750?
The Good Neighbor Grant.
Good Neighbor. I always think I say Great Neighbor, and that's a different
program.
Okay. The Good Neighbor, I just want to point out, a super useful program. Midwesterners, I think, love a deal. So if they can say I got money off my landscaping in my front yard, or I got $750 off of this curb appeal program, I think everybody jumps on it. I know I have friends throughout the city that have used this program. A couple of my friends last year who do not do landscaping at all, they applied and they're like, oh, cool, we're getting $750 off of our like $3,000 worth of landscaping in our front yard. And I think it was really just that. They wanted to get that deal. They wanted to get some money off their landscaping, and it makes the neighborhood look great. So I really wanted to point out that I think that grant is working well, and I'm very interested in the code enforcement aspect of that.
Great.
Deputy Mayor.
Joe, you actually have friends up here that have used it. Jake, I don't know if you got the picture I sent you. I sent you, oh, 1 second, he said. In 2016, and this wasn't a situation where it was like hey, we got $750 off. Our front stairs fell off of our house. And so it wasn't optional for whether or not we were going to fix them, and we were not in an income place at that time that it was going to be easy to do, but this definitely helped. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot longer until... Yeah, I wanted to you know, that one right there is a Good Neighbor grant as well.
Nice.
Such a beautiful home.
It is, yes.
I don't like the color.
Yeah, well, that's all my partners.
Having been up here a little bit, have worked with Goich and I, and I've always said it, we couldn't do what you do for the value in which you provide it. I think the neighborhood associations, the organizing, the keeping them active and engaged, huge value to this community, and so appreciative of the efforts that go into those. I'm glad to hear that as part of this, the intention is to fund even more of the Good Neighbor grants. I would be all in favor of trying to find a way to fund those completely. I know the data proves it out. It's, what's 5-6-fold, just in terms of the investment we provide or the additional little assistance that we provide in terms of that grant turns into, 6+ times actual investment in people's homes and in this community and bettering the neighborhood. And it turns out that if you do something nice to your house or your yard, the one next to you might just do something to theirs, and then all of a sudden you've started this cascading effect. And we can't capture that. So the impact is even greater, I think, than even what you've shown here. So supportive of this, supportive of continuing to partner. I wish in the past we would have been able to find a different or better funding model. I wasn't always in favor of how we were funding GoH&I. I'm glad that at the moment we've found a way to do this, and hopefully this continues and it can grow from here.
Great. Thank you.
I'll just add one more thing. From a nonprofit standpoint, I'm glad that you're having the rental be part of your income and branching out into that different income revenue streams for long-term financial.
Thank you.
And it's an affordable unit.
Any other questions or comments from council? City staff, anything on this that you want to share?
I can just touch a little bit on the code enforcement program because it's something that we've been playing with for a little bit. We've been finding, and I had talked about this in my orientation as well, we've got some gaps in our community as to the services that we're able to offer and the housing programs that we have to assist with these sorts of programs. And the code enforcement program would be a referral from city staff. So it wouldn't just be somebody coming and asking to utilize that first. We're still putting it together, but we would want to do 2026 as a pilot year and see if it works out well. If it's hitting what we're hoping for it to hit, then we would like to implement it more.
Excellent. All right, if there's nothing else, City Clerk, she'll take the roll in 26257.
Buelow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrow.
Aye.
7-0.
Good. Resolution 26-261, this is authorized purchase of 101 Commerce Street and 201 Pearl Avenue of Oshkosh, commonly referred to as the City Center. I have two folks who'd like to speak to us. Former Councilmember Tony Palmieri is registered first, and then Tom, you'd be right after. When you come up, if you'll give us your full name and address, that'd be helpful. I know Mr. Palmieri knows it, but 5 minutes, topic at hand, and good evening and welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Tony Palmieri, 212 West Parkway Avenue. I was not going to speak on this because after the last council meeting, it seemed like 5 of the councilors were pretty much set on this, but it seems like slowly but surely, too slowly in my opinion, we're finding out more information about this that, for me anyway, raises some red flags. So we recently found out that one of the owners is over $300,000 in arrears on taxes. There's $14 million in loans. It does raise the question, I'm not alleging anything, but it raises the question as to whether this is some kind of taxpayer bailout. The Northwestern actually had this quote in one of their stories: "A source with intimate knowledge of city workings explained that it isn't uncommon for businesses to have property tax arrears for up to 3 years, saying it helps owners maintain a cash flow." That is not common, and I'm a little bit disappointed that the Northwestern didn't get a business ethics person or someone to comment on that. I think it's in the council's interest to find out if going into arrears was a conscious strategy of the business owner. And I'm not sure if I would personally want to purchase from an owner who would do that. Because again, it is, the Northwestern makes it sound like business owners do this all the time, and they don't. My understanding also is that after the 3 years, the county can start foreclosure proceedings against a property. While the arrears is 2023, we're in 2026, it's 3 years. Again, I'm not alleging anything, but for anyone that would want to think that there is a taxpayer bailout associated with this, that would be some of the evidence that they would use, because we really don't know what you folks are hearing in closed session. The other thing is, we still don't know what the full cost is here. I think everyone agrees that the $12.5 million is probably the tip of the iceberg, that there are many more costs coming with this, especially for potential cleanup of the site. We still don't really know where the money is coming from. I think we've been assured somehow that this won't end up on the property tax levy, that a bunch of other funding sources will be used. I think tax incremental financing has been mentioned. My understanding is that the city center TIF is scheduled to end in 2028, at which time, if what I hear about TIF is true, that's when the school district, the general budget, the county are supposed to get this windfall from the TIF. If we keep a TIF in the city center district for another 20 to 23 years, that would mean that that property has been in a TIF for many decades. And I don't know if that meets, TIF financing, my understanding is, we're not supposed to use it unless the development meets what's called the but-for test. All right, development would not take place but for the TIF. We wouldn't have development on 17 acres of prime riverfront property. I mean, that seems to be Exhibit A in where you would not use a TIF. All right, if the but-for test really means anything, and I know that cities find ways to get around the but-for test all the time. And then finally, I think that the city council has bought into this myth that only if the city owns the property can we control the development that happens there. I mean, cities control development through zoning and overlays and conditional use proposals, which is what you'd have to do anyway, even if it's property owned or publicly owned. So I'm not really hearing a great argument for the city needing to own it. And I'll close out by saying, whether you approve it or don't approve it tonight, I do think the city should send out another survey at this point, just asking people a yes or no question. Are you okay with the city purchasing City Center? I think it would be useful information for you to know what percentage of Oshkosh citizens, you got over 1,600 in the first survey, right? I would like to know if the majority believe that this is a good investment for the city at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir? Again, if you could give us your full name and address, that'd be wonderful. Thank you. And welcome.
I'm Tom Swan, 1419 East Nevada Avenue, Oshkosh. I'm an MAI designated appraiser with the Appraisal Institute. I'm a certified general appraiser in Wisconsin. I'm a former county executive for District 14, served 2 terms, ending this April. I drafted an ordinance 3.14 on requiring appraisals for the acquisition, disposition, and asset management of real property owned by the county. Mr. Palmieri did an excellent presentation, and he stole the majority of my thunder here, so I'll just get right to the chase. When he started discussing the fact that this really has the appearance of a bailout, that's what I think too. I misspoke in the Planning Commission meeting a little bit. The $1 million acquisition, you really need to add the $14 million debt load to that was added since 2012, presumably to maintain operations, do repairs and capital improvements, build out costs for the tenants and such. And now the property has lost the majority of the large tenants, and my understanding is one of the largest, if not the largest tenant, will vacate this summer. So I think the owners are a little bit panicked on this, and have approached the city with an unsolicited offer because of that, or not unsolicited. asking price. And I think, I asked myself, what's the rush, you know? Let's let the process unfold. We have legal proceedings to deal with this kind of situation in Wisconsin. And Mr. Palmieri spoke well when he said that zoning is a way to control what happens in the property. This is a private property matter. It should be resolved through, if it needs be, the court system, a receivership. And I think you're worried about the small tenants in there not being able to maintain operations. I ask, does the city really want to become a manager of a property like this, of this size and magnitude? Are you qualified to do that? I think a receiver, if necessary, could appoint someone to do the same thing for the small tenants, and their needs could be maintained until you decide what you really want to do with it. I think you should also consider, if you really want to purchase it, doing due diligence up front on environmental, on engineering problems in the building, potentially, if you want to keep the buildings. You know, you need to do that up front and be transparent about what you're doing. For a $12.5 million taxpayer-funded proposal, the public deserves a clear understanding of who the owners are, what their track record was, and what they stand to gain in this purchase. So, you know, before approving this, I would seriously think you should postpone this and just settle down and do proper due diligence on behalf of the taxpayer. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Thank you.
Sure.
You're a certified appraiser, is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay. So, sir, if I wanted to buy this property and I employed you to go out and appraise this property, a couple different scenarios, you came back to me and you said the building is good, the property is good, there's no contamination, whatever, and you came up with a number, whatever that number be, it's really irrelevant. Would it be different if you came back to me and you said, the building seems to be okay, could probably use some repairs. However, I have to inform you that there is significant contamination with the property. Is that going to affect the price of that property then?
I need to be a little bit careful here to not do a review.
In general terms?
Yeah, okay. You know, first of all, I would have to see a proper, you know, phase 1 and phase 2 environmental study done before I could make a comment on that, like that in the report. But if that existed, you would try to quantify what the impact on value would be, and adjustment would be probably required for that impact.
So an adjustment, which means it would not be worth,
Well, downward.
because I've got to pay for now.
Presumably it'd be a downward adjustment because of the cost to clean up the environmental contamination.
That's what I was getting at.
Just like an adjustment would be required for a rehab of the property to take care of the deferred maintenance.
And likewise, if you came back and said that the property was, the building was at the end of its life, and now
Right.
the improvement, not the land, but the improvement
Okay.
is really not an improvement anymore, it becomes a liability.
Yes.
Paul, you've got to take that down. Is that
You
going
need
to
look at
affect?
highest and best use. You need to look at whether, you know, whether the property is worth more as is, as it exists, and as, you know, after rehab, to get the deferred maintenance taken care of, or whether it's worth more as a vacant site. And you'd have to consider demolition costs as a deduct from the land value. Okay, you'd have to consider the environmental costs as well as a deduct. I think, you know, I'm worried about the city taking on significant liability. The mayor mentioned 30 million potentially. I think it could be more than that, perhaps double, when you consider all the costs that you're going to have to incur on this, including street infrastructure. You know, there's so many hidden costs, especially if you rehab. But even if you demolish with a riverfront site like this, you have that environmental issue, you have demolition costs, which are significant on a property like this. I did want to mention that Ted Leahy apparently kept a scrapbook of the property from start to finish when they developed it back in the 60s, and his family may still have that. I guess a pictorial from start to finish. If you haven't included that in your phase 1 audit and you can't obtain it, that would be important. So, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here this evening that wanted to speak on this before we put this on the floor for us to discuss? I don't see anybody. Council, I'll take a motion and a second to put this on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
We have the ability to go into closed session, but there are that's limited scope. If there's anything you want to chat about prior to going into closed session, that should happen now. And then we'll take a motion from the deputy mayor then to go into closed session. Mr. Stevenson.
So, staff, if we approve this today, it means we're entering into a due diligence period, correct? Where we would close at a different date after we've looked into certain things.
Correct. Yes, there'd be a due diligence period through September 30th with a chance to extend if we needed to, depending upon the circumstances.
And in that due diligence period, if we were to we're doing a phase 2 environmental review of it, if we were to ever find significant amounts of contamination, we could walk away whenever we wanted, correct?
Correct. There is a provision that the purchaser, the city, can terminate the agreement depending upon the results of the due diligence, including the phase 2.
Sure. And really any other, like if we were to find something structurally majorly wrong with it, we could walk away at that time too, right?
Correct.
So I
Yes.
wanted everybody to hear that. We are entering into a due diligence phase right now. I also want to address maybe a handful of questions you guys have, a handful of things I've seen online. This is not a normal process for a city, right? We are actually going over and above making this very public. I'm glad that we're giving this agreement out there right now. I'm glad that we're creating a website. I'm glad that we're talking about this stuff, but know that other cities would not have done this. Appleton would not have done this. Fond du Lac would not have done this. They would have bought the building and then asked everybody what you want to do with the building. We're still going to do that. We're still going to ask what you want to do with the building, but know that right now we're going through a due diligence period where we are talking with citizens, where we're getting these questions. I also want to point out the due diligence that this council has already done. I'm not sticking around 2 hours after every meeting because I like these guys. I'm sticking around 2 hours after every meeting because we're going through paperwork, we're going through, we have multiple appraisals, we have multiple construction companies that went and looked at this and told us the viability of it. We have a phase 1 already done. Again, we've talked with industry professionals. GoEDC has, the third party has told us this is a good idea. Our chamber, our bid, the community foundation. This is not just an isolated decision that this council is making. This is a decision that this council, our plan commission, and other economic development professionals in our community are saying that this is a good idea. None of them have come back and said this is a bad idea. I also maybe want to address a little bit of like the zoning concerns. I'm a zoning expert. This is what I do for a living. Zoning is not a magic bullet that allows you to make a building look exactly how you want it to look. Conditional use permits by the state have been heavily restricted. You can't put a conditional use on a building if you're not following very strict state laws. If you're putting, like, someone mentioned an overlay, I believe you're talking about a PUD. I've heard this before. Again, PUDs, the property owner in many of those instances would have to allow you to do that. It would be very difficult to change zoning. It would be a city forced rezone, which are very difficult. And then if you just wanted to handle it through traditional zoning, we'd have to completely update facade codes. We would have to completely update landscaping ordinance to apply to everybody just in this singular instance. You can't through zoning say, I want a coffee shop to be here. You can't through zoning say, I want there to be housing here. The use right now is a mixed use, so it can really do whatever it wants. So again, one of the reasons why I've been a strong advocate of wanting the city to control this site is because city-controlled sites often make very creative, very groundbreaking situations that the private market just doesn't bear. So I want to go and review this with council in closed session, but I also wanted to just say we have done an incredible amount of due diligence. We are doing this process open and to the community in other ways that cities would not do. And we have done a lot of due diligence around this. So I definitely think there's a debate to be had here on what this looks like in the future, what financing processes we use. But again, I just wanted to reiterate some of those things that we have seen for these past months, but I think the public probably hasn't.
Before we go into closed session, Ms. Gurill, I don't know if you or Community Development Director want to just kind of roughly or very briefly give us the high-level overview on the basically the offer to purchase that is in front of us. Basic terms, just some, like I said, high level.
Yep. The memo that was included does outline these terms as well, so this should be a refresher for council. We have the background of the properties of 201 Pearl, 101 Commerce Street. I'm not going to touch on the impact of what this could be on the property. I feel like we've done that enough at our previous council meetings. So the terms of the agreement, the key terms and city protections include the following. The purchase price is $12.5 million. We know that they have requested earnest money in the amount, and we've offered $125,000. We are asking for a period of due diligence, as City Attorney Amy stated, through September 30th of this year, with the possibility of one extension until December 30th of this year, as needed, with the ability to close when we feel confident closing. We know that we are retaining the right to inspect, to evaluate, to test. We have multiple things that we want to complete during this due diligence period that includes, as Councilor Stevenson mentioned, Phase 2 environmental testing, additional substantive and structural testing of the building itself. We know that we have some title cleanup that would need to occur, enable for us to close on the property, including any outstanding taxes that may or may not still be outstanding. We are, if we do choose to terminate, however, based off of our due diligence that we've completed, we would get the return of that earnest money. Just want to make that clear. The other thing is, we have some considerations that we have to consider as we look at this property that we want to continue to emphasize, which is there are current tenants at this location. They're wonderful people that are operating much needed businesses in our community that we want to continue to support as needed, so we would continue that communication. That does make it a little bit more of a complex situation, and something that we need to be aware of is that we would be acquiring this property with existing leases on that property, and something that we would have to navigate. I'm trying to think of anything else that touches on the basics. Does anybody have any questions about the agreements before closed?
Can you just confirm, so earnest money, it's noted, and you mentioned it was 125, the agreements total 225. One is 103 and one's 122.
Yep, we missed a number.
Okay, 225 is earnest.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Esslinger.
Thank you, Mayor. I have what I think is a rather simple question. We're looking at going to closed session. Is there something new that I'm going to learn here? We've gone into several closed sessions. The public portion now for talking about this is over. When we come back out, they are not allowed to talk about this anymore. We can as a council. That's the way the system works. But, if there's something new that I'm going to learn that's going to affect my decision, I certainly want to go into closed session, but if we're just going to be talking about the same things we've talked about before, I fail to understand what the point is. We've gotten the information that we've gotten. It is what it is. If there's something new that developed, absolutely, let's talk about that, but I don't know what we're doing. Again.
Certainly, it's your vote whether to go into closed session. There may be one or two things that the legal office just wants to highlight on the agreements themselves, but it is your vote.
Okay, there may be some things. I know this is law and this is attorney stuff, but can you be a little more specific on that?
There was a provision that the seller requested to be added that's in the agreement. We, again, it's up to you if you want to go into closed session, but I would be happy to kind of explain that further.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, now's your time.
Pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851E, I move that we convene into closed session where competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session to discuss bargaining options, strategy, parameters, and terms related to the potential redevelopment and/or acquisition of a property located at 101 Commerce Street and 201 Pearl Avenue in the city of Oshkosh, commonly known as City Center.
I'll take a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion on going into closed session? If not, take the roll on going into closed session.
Buelow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
Aye.
Esslinger.
Aye.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugerauer.
Aye.
7-0, that carries.
We will convene in the city manager's office, and then we will be back out when we're ready.
The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. The Oshkosh Common Council is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio.
the bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
bass kick.
Think about it. 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 Think about it.
session following a closed session regarding the city center purchase. Resolution 26-261 is on the floor currently. Council, now is your time to discuss or make comments. You know what? I'll go first. I don't normally go first. Usually I go last for a good reason. I said a lot last meeting about our current financial situation, wants versus needs. I don't need to rehash a single word of that. The reason I'm voting no tonight on this is for several factors. One, and we just talked about it, I don't think we've talked nearly enough, nor have a solid financing plan or a financial plan for this to tell the taxpayers how they're going to be impacted by this. Two, we have no long-term plan. Are we going to own this thing in perpetuity? We shouldn't. Is it a short-term acquisition with a flip? Short-term acquisition for other reasons? Like, we have not defined that. We should not be in the property management business very long if we are going to purchase this. It needs to be a short hold, and then something monumental must happen on that site for this acquisition price. It's worth noting that a project that this community needed and has celebrated right across the river, actually kitty corner, 27 acres of land was sold for $2.75 million just a few years ago for a new hospital to be built. We're going to acquire 17 for 12.5 with a whole lot on top of that. Finally, I have concerns that this is a legacy project for many. I couldn't care less about a legacy project. If I could care less, I would, but it's not physically possible. That is inside City Hall and outside City Hall, that is elected and non-elected. That this is a feather in their cap for something in the future to say, I did that. And this is a really big risk to do at the taxpayer's expense for something like that. That's where I'm going to leave my thoughts tonight. Council? Deputy Mayor.
I'll keep my comments relatively short, as I've been pretty consistent. I think this is a sizable investment, but I think it's a worthwhile investment. And I think that the resolution tonight gives the city the appropriate protections to move forward and do our due diligence period. As Councilmember Stevenson has said, gives us several options to cure if there are things that are found, gives us options to not continue if things are found, but that is the next step in the process, is to do that full due diligence. I'll be supporting this tonight. I think it is something that is, you brought up legacy project. I think this is a legacy project, not for me or for any one person, but for Oshkosh, that could be transformative. And totally respect your opinion. I understand it, but I'll be supporting this to move forward, to continue to find out more information.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Likewise, I feel like this is worth doing due diligence, and Matt, I'm going to say I'm a little disappointed in you. This is not a legacy project for me. I don't think this is a legacy project for staff or for any of the council members up here. I believe we want to do what's best for the taxpayer. We also want to do what's best for our downtown. I believe that I'm moving forward with this because I feel like this is the best decision for Oshkosh. Not because I want to put a feather in my cap, not because I think any of our staff want to put a feather in their cap. So I don't usually disagree with you like that, but I really want to put that out there, that this is not a legacy project. This is what I truly believe is best for Oshkosh. I could be a non-citizen, I could be a non-elected official and be rooting for this. So again, I want to do our due diligence. I want to look at environmental concerns. I want to look at our financing a little bit more. I believe we should give that the time period between now and September to look at that stuff. So thank you.
Mr. LaFever.
At our last meeting, I voted to move this forward. At the time, I said I believed it was in the best interest of the city to continue the conversation, and it was. but I have significant doubts about moving forward again tonight. I believe the public deserves better answers to their questions than what has been given so far, and I don't have enough confidence in what I've seen to justify that the situation will improve. I understand that there are issues with sharing some pieces of information due to the nature of the closed session, but I think that the public-facing side of this has been rushed. We have not been shown a tenant transition plan, just assurances. We have not been shown cost estimates for demolition, remediation, maintenance, financing, or relocation. To me, these are not details that can wait. And before anyone else says, we still have time for conversations like these, I would push back. The time for those conversations was before we asked the public to trust us with $12.5 million of their money, not after. I don't know if that's common or not, but I think that would have been the best approach for Oshkosh. So I do believe in downtown revitalization, and I believe that this land is strategically important, and I do stand by much of what I said broadly at the last meeting. However, I do not stand by my previous support for this acquisition, and I will be voting no tonight.
Any other council members? Mr. Esslinger.
Thank you, Mayor. Late Friday, the council received an email regarding what I call the purchase agreement materials, outlining some of the information that was asked for the offer to purchase. So we did get that. In the document, at the end, it says, staff recommends approval of the proposed property acquisition at 201 Pearl Avenue 101 and 101 Commerce Street as requested. So I have some questions, and I want to make sure that I'm asking the correct person or persons. Who's staff? Is that city manager, the community development director, the legal department, or is it kind of a mix of everyone? Because I do have several different questions, and I want to make sure that I'm getting the correct person.
Well, certainly it's the city manager and the community development director.
Okay. Some of these are going to be repetitive because we've heard them before. We've all heard them in an executive session, but as I've stated, I'd like to have things as much in public as possible. So these are some questions that I have, and actually most of them are from the public that we have not really either haven't discussed or have not come up with any answers. Maybe we can come up with some answers tonight. Number one, specifically, what are we going to do with the leases of the tenants if we become new owners of the property?
We'll have to talk with the leaseholders and find out what their future plans are. We also need to figure out, with the public's input and with the council's input, what is exactly going to happen with the location. Some leases might, some people might not move, so then we wouldn't need to do anything with those.
So as of tonight, there really is no plan, but the plan is to talk to them. Okay. All right. Number two, if there are unpaid taxes, could it be said that the property is not cash flowing enough to make payments? So why would the city want to be put in that situation?
I can't make a statement as to why the taxes were unpaid.
But they are paid now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting when you look $12.5 million in the face, how you get things paid. Number three, contamination. If there are continued issues with phase 2, would you recommend turning down the process?
We would need to know exactly what those are.
Okay. Then I guess if you...
I can't speak in absolutes when I don't know all the details.
At what point would you recommend to the council to abandon the deal if there were contamination issues?
Again, I would need to know the details of that.
Okay. Have we had a recent estimate for the cost of raising or repairing the property?
Yes, the bold structural report that we received months ago did outline estimated costs for either a partial or full demolition of the property.
Which was?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I'd have to pull them up, but it was,
If I remember correctly, I think it was $5 million.
I wanted to say
That's
4.
from going on my terrible memory. Just for a point of, just a point of the public, I did talk to someone in the development business and redevelopment business, as it were, and they said $5 million to take that type of building down is a very, very low estimate. It would probably be twice that much, but enough said. And this is kind of a general question, but specifically, what are our plans if we purchase the property?
Along this whole time, we've been talking about working with the council and the public to do some engagement, finding out what the public would like us to do down there. I know prior to me starting here, there was a discussion of having City Hall down there. That's not my recommendation. So there's no specific plans, and we've said that repeatedly at each of the previous meetings.
Okay. As we just kind of talked in executive session, and there was a gentleman that came forward here tonight, and the mayor has also stated, the purchase price is $12.5 million up front. Have we done an analysis on, depending on where we go with this project, how much it's really going to cost when you combine the purchase, the tear down, if that's what we're going to do, the contamination, if that's what we're going to do, the interest on the loans, if we're going to take out loans, utilities. So have we done an analysis on the total amount of money when completed?
All of that is not known yet until we get into the Phase 2 and look at those type of things. We can make an assumption and some estimates. I think the mayor actually had an
Yes.
appropriate estimate of like $30 million.
Right. This is more for the finance director. I know she's not here tonight, unfortunately. How much revenue will we lose per year from taking it off the tax rolls? And how will that impact the budget on a yearly basis?
Well, the tax bill that,
I was going to say, the tax bill that was for 2025 was around $350,000 total for both properties. And that includes a bid assessment as well. So I want to say the bid assessment was around 20,000 was going to be my guess. So the full 350 wasn't the tax.
But that's the revenue that would come in, right?
to the different taxing entities and to the downtown improvement district.
Okay, and so how, I guess the question I'm asking is how would that affect the city manager? How would that affect you're putting together a budget with the loss of whatever revenue that is?
Well, the same way I would put together any budget, knowing this is the amounts that we will likely have. The challenge with this is there's a tenant that's moving out. The taxes will likely, if there's a reevaluation, the taxes will likely be going down each year. So regardless of whether the city's the owner or not, we would be having to make up that. This gives us the opportunity to have others invest where we could increase the property tax revenue by millions of dollars.
Okay.
At this point, it's just going to go the opposite way.
And here's a question that we kind of just talked about in executive session. We've heard that in various different ways that the taxpayers are not going to have to pay for this purchase. I'm wondering if the staff would have a problem with having an amendment that the council is directing the staff not to move forward if there are any tax dollars associated with this, or if the staff can make some type of promise to the council and to the residents that there are not going to be any tax dollars associated with this project?
I'm not familiar with any staff member that had made any statement.
I didn't say it was a staff member that made that.
Okay, well, we cannot make those agreements.
Okay. Regarding the piers that are underneath, is that going to be one of the due diligence processes that we would do if we sign the contract?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you explain?
Well, there are piers underneath the building, and they've been there for a long, long time, so I'm not going to go way out on a limb, but I'm assuming that there may be some issues with deterioration of that type of property, and so it would be best to make an analysis of that, and if there is an analysis that proves that there are problems with them, it would be nice to know how much it would cost to take them out and replace them again. I don't know, have we done that, or are we going to do that?
With the first structural analysis that we completed on the property, we were unable to take any samples. This structural analysis would include samples of the property and get as thorough of investigation as we can do with what they're able to access on the property. And yes, that would include cost estimates as
Okay,
well.
but as of right now, we don't know.
I am unable to speak to that until we have our second structural analysis.
Okay. I'm getting there. Has there been an analysis done regarding the streets surrounding the property and whether they will need to be redone and the costs involved associated with that?
Well, a certain amount of the streets are going to be redone already because of the bridge project. There would probably be some additional ones depending upon what the decision was going forward, what would happen with the property, what would be done. So again, unless and until we know what's going to happen, I can't give you a affirmative 100% answer.
Okay. Number 11, there are two items that we talked about in executive session that has not become known to the public. And I'm just wondering if the legal department, the city manager, or the community development director would have any problem with me discussing those at this time.
I don't know what you're proposing to discuss.
Do you mean item number 11 in the contract?
No, this is my number 11 on the paper
Oh.
here.
Can you?
You're going to need to give them a little something so they know if you should talk about it or not.
Well, why should there be a problem? I mean, we're voting on this now, and I think the public should know what they are.
Is it a term in the agreement?
One is a requirement from a company that may come here, and one might be a problem, a big problem. Is there any problem with me talking about those?
So you're not referencing a term of the actual agreement, but a potential purchase is the
Yeah.
potential?
One is going to be a possible requirement once we own it, and then I can't say the name, but an issue we would absolutely have to address if we wanted to sell or do anything with the property.
Is it the dentist thing? Is that what we're talking about?
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So I'm not making this up.
I just apologize. I understand you're trying to give us information. I just want to make sure that it's a term in the agreement, which was disclosed to the public, so that I would be comfortable discussing if it's a term of our agreement that we're putting in front of you today to vote on.
Yeah,
But I just can't read your mind right now, Paul, to know what you're trying to channel. The deed, so one of the issues that Paul wanted to address is that issues that may cloud title going into, is that what you're
Yes.
referencing?
That's exactly what I'm referencing.
So yes, the agreement does mention that it would need to be conveyed with clear title. So any sort of title issues that we would object to would need to be taken care of prior to closing. So there may be things out there, right? That's part of the due diligence process. I think staff is aware of at least one that needs to be addressed, if not more. But again, that is something that would need to be handled by the seller prior to closing.
So the deed restriction would have to be removed before we would move forward?
If you're, yes, if you're talking about the lien on the
Okay, that-
property,
that's the
correct.
best answer you guys have given yet. The other one with the ramp, can we talk about that, or, no, we can't talk about that?
Related to this.
Yeah, that one I was not familiar with, and I'm getting shakes of the head that that's not related to this transaction.
Would you not agree that before we can get taxpayer buy-in on an item like this, that we should be transparent and clear on everything that's involved?
I would agree as much as possible, yes.
Okay, good answer. Good answer. But here's the issue, we're not. Councilmember Stevenson stated that we're being upfront and open and honest, and he's right, but up to a certain point, and this is the rub. This is the government trying to buy something, and it's a different method than the private industry doing it. They answer all these questions up front, and it's very easy for them. And so it's hard for us. And so we sit here and we try to tell the folks, give us the $12.5 million and trust us. It's all going to work out. We're all going to be happy in the end. If I'm taking your $12.5 million, I want to give you some good answers. And then I want you to be able to tell me that you're okay with it. Well, I've been handcuffed, and quite frankly, the other 6 council members have been handcuffed with not being able to talk about a lot of this stuff. We just came back out of executive session. You folks here in the audience, you can't come back and talk now. This is our term, and now we're going to vote. That to me is wrong. This is just, but this is the way it works. I'm not saying any of my 6 cohorts here are doing anything wrong. They're not. This is just the way it works. And this is why the government should not be involved with this. And I guess in the end, Mayor, I'm going to wrap this up. This kind of reminds me of a statement, a famous statement, back in 2010 with the passage of the Affordable Care Act, that someone says we have to pass the bill so that we can find out what is in it. And essentially what we're doing here is we have to pass all of this nonsense in order to figure out what we're going to do after we get your $12.5 million. To me, that's not the way it works. And so, Mayor, I've heard from many, many, many people that they don't want this. This is something that, and I could have come here with probably 30 more questions, but I'm not going to do that. So I think this is something that is best left for the private industry to ferret it out, figure it out. And so I'm voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members wish to speak? Do so now or forever hold your peace.
I have just a very brief, this is paid with taxes. I just want to, if that is like out in the community, that somehow there's like a money tree being shaken, we're not affected by this. If we're borrowing for it, or if we're using general levy, like if a city buys something, it uses tax dollars. So I just want to be very clear, that's the debate up here. The debate is, do we use city funding to do this or not? So I just want to be, I don't think staff has ever said that, if that's out in the community, just that we are using city funds. Maybe there's crossover. If there's redevelopment, we could potentially use like state funds or other funding sources, but when you're buying a property like this, it's coming from us, so.
Councilmember Spanbauer.
I also want to be very clear, and I wanted to echo a lot of Councilmember Stevenson's comments from before our closed session, because I think they were well pointed. This is a next step in the process, and there are points at which we can still step away. We can still back out. We can still discover, learn, find new information that makes us say, maybe we need to look at this again. Maybe we need to come back to the table. That is my understanding. I'm going to maybe look for some nods from the other side. I'm getting some nods that there are still exit points from here, but there needs to be an entry into this next step to execute those exit points, I guess, is sort of how I'm looking at this. So I'm going to vote to take the next step.
Mr. Amos.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to weigh in and express why I am going to support this as well. And I do understand that there are a lot of unanswered questions, so I do stand with the council members that are stating that we do have a lot of questions that need to be answered. So I do stand with them in regards to that, but I do think that this is a huge opportunity for economic growth. There's potential for increasing revenue in the city, and there's also other organizations in the city that's already committed to contributing to this project as well. So for me, I feel as though we've already invested a lot of time, which is a very valuable resource, and I wouldn't want to just see this whole acquisition die tonight. I would like to enter into the due diligence phase, see what we discover in the due diligence phase, and as Councilmember Spanbauer said, we still have an opportunity to pull out in the future if need be. So for me, I am going to support this tonight because I want us to enter into the due diligence process to see what we discover. So just wanted to weigh in and express that.
Thank you. With that, City Clerk, if you'll take the roll on 26-261.
Buelow.
Aye.
Stevenson.
Aye.
LaFever.
No.
Esslinger.
No.
Spanbauer.
Aye.
Amos.
Aye.
Mugrauer.
No.
4-3, that carries.
Okay. That wraps up the action items from this evening's council meeting. We move into council discussion, direction to city manager, and future agenda items. I have nothing under discussion or direction to the city manager. So we'll move right along to future agenda items. Tomorrow night we have a workshop. This is a orientation/workshop. Fire and EMS, emergency government, and the fire study will be discussed tomorrow night. We have only one council meeting itself, regular council meeting in June 16th. We will have a workshop ahead of time. That's the Communications Engagement Division will be providing an update. That will include an update on Oshkosh Media. That's at 5 p.m. Our regular meeting is at 6 that evening, and then post-meeting we'll have a second workshop. I don't know if it's Cope or Copey Avenue for our newest council members, an interesting delve into public works and private roads, and we'll have a discussion on some residents and some current concerns they have on that private road. June 17th, we have another orientation. That's a public works operations and transportation discussion and learning opportunity that evening. And then June 29th, we have a Monday workshop that is budget and capital improvement program. We'll also be going into closed session regarding union negotiation parameters, and then also working on the city manager's mid-year review. I believe that's what that should say there. Council members' announcements and statements. Do we have anything to announce or to state? Okay. City manager, I think you've got a few things there, and then we have another workshop.
Unless there's any questions on 39, we'll just go right into the neighborhood associations, 40 and 41, and I'll turn that over to Community Development Director.
Sure.
We have some 2 new neighborhoods that we've been able to recognize tonight. Liz, if you want to talk a little bit about it, you don't have to if you don't want to, I know, it's been a long night. But we're very excited. This is something that Liz had alluded to in her presentation, that we have the potential for 4 this year to be created, and we were able to bring 2 before you tonight already. The amount of people interested in getting involved in their community is just growing exponentially, and we are recognizing them as an available resource to us that we need to utilize on a more regular basis to be able to communicate with our residents, and are hoping to do so. So if you would like me to talk about each specific one, I can. Otherwise, I would just like to say, as a general, this is one step that you're going to see many more steps as we move forward with our neighborhood associations connections.
2 more tonight, we're up to 27, right? That'll be 26 and 27. Merrill Neighborhood Association, so a Central City, quote, getting close to North Sider, but Central City area, bordered by historic Jackson, as well as the Midtown and Middle Village, right? If I've got my areas right. And then it was Rugby South Park, South Park Rugby. Make sure I get that right. Just bordered by Sacred Heart District, Quarry Park. And pretty close to the historic 6th Ward. So different areas of the community getting engaged, coming together. Appreciate all the efforts from GoHNI to keep these things active and interesting for our neighborhoods and our residents. And it's a good thing that we've got folks coming together and trying to create community within community. So appreciate all the efforts.
GoHNI's hard work. I want to make that very clear. Staff is on the periphery for these neighborhood creations. This is all GoHNI.
Yeah, Mr. Stevens, go ahead.
And are these a few of the founders right here? Look, thank you for volunteering, and thank you for everything you're doing for neighborhoods and everything. I think neighborhoods are, again, a super special part of Oshkosh, and thank you for being involved. GoHNI, thank you for your work as well, but I always found being involved in neighborhoods to be really rewarding, so I'm glad you guys are starting your own, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Then I just want to remind people that they need to renew their alcohol licenses. We have 213 total, and about a third of them have not put in their renewals yet, which is a little bit concerning because they have to be on file for 15 days before the council can grant them. So unless there's special meetings, it's possible they could be without a license if they don't get them in. So City Clerk's been working with the Tavern League to try to get people to file theirs. Aside from us going to the establishments, I'm not sure what else we could do at this point. So just putting it out there publicly. So if you are going out after this, ask the bartender if they've renewed their license. And then this is not on there, but what's that?
Where are we going?
If I need to go tavern to tavern, I will volunteer.
This is a different type of pub crawl.
Yeah, right.
Too soon?
And then this is not on there, but I wanted to mention that additionally on the 16th of June, we're going to have an update about Flock and the group that the chief's working on putting together, so.
Good.
That's all I have.
Okay, the way this is set up on the agenda, it says we go into workshop and then we adjourn after, but shouldn't we adjourn first and then we be in a workshop setting? Because we're not going to
Yes.
actually discuss or action anything, right?
I was going to ask about that as well.
Yeah, it's been set up this way and you do it the opposite previously, so yes, you
We're
can
gonna do the
adjourn
opposite.
it.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. But we will meet in room 404 in a few seconds for a workshop.